Today we're going to talk about several items concerning the iPad. We haven't really discussed Siri yet, so I think what we can do is show you how Siri can be used. There's lots of ways it can be used. I'm going to show you some of the basic ones. It is a little different from the older version, and we're looking at an iPad now that is using version 10 for the operating system. Then the new iPad, or the newer iPads that use version 11, I'll show you both. So what I'm going to do is start off with using Siri on the older iPad, and I can do that. I can do that by holding down the home button here. Hello, Siri.
Hi there.
Now to talk to her with the older version, I need to touch this microphone and hold on to it. So here's what I'm going to do. How are you today?
Not too shabby.
Okay. Now let me ask her a question about finding a location. Siri, can you show me the way from my home to the legislative building?
I don't know your home address. In fact, I don't know anything about you. In Siri settings, tap on My Info and then choose yourself from your contacts. Then I'll know who you are.
Good advice. And if you're using an older version of Siri and you've asked for directions, this is what we're going to have to do. So I'm going into Settings. I'm then going to choose Siri. You'll notice some of the choices I have here. I'm going to touch My Info. You'll notice that My Info has none beside it. And I'm going to give it my name. Now I'm going to go back to Siri and see if that's made a difference. Hello, Siri. Oh, it's giving me a list of things it can do. Hello, Siri.
Hi, Alan.
It now knows me. It's very handy. Let me ask it for directions now. Can you tell me how I can get from my home to the legislative building?
I don't know your home address. Tap your name if you'd like to add it.
And I'm now going to add my address. To do that, I'm going to type Edit. And I'm going to scroll down to Add Address. When I'm finished, I touch Done. Now let's go back to Siri and see if that's made a difference. Hi, Siri.
Hi.
Siri, show me the way from my home to the legislative building.
Getting directions from your home to Manitoba Legislative Building.
And now Siri is mapping it out for me. Little safety warning. And sure enough, it knows my home address and it's mapped out a distance to the legislative building. You can also use another address for it to go and find that. Now I can also ask Siri to do several other things. Hi, Siri.
Hello there, Alan.
Siri, translate I love you into French.
Here's what I found on the web for Siri Translate I love you into French.
Well, okay. I guess you could just simply tap those things and you can get them. You get the idea. Siri, give me a number between 1 and 25.
It's 7.
You can use that as a random generator for all sorts of things. Siri, flip a coin.
It's tails.
Siri, flip a coin.
Heads.
You get the idea. Siri, spell Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. Winnipeg.
And there it is with some description of it too. Thank you very much. Now, using Siri with System 11, operating System 11, it's a little bit more sophisticated. I'm just going to show you inside the settings. You'll notice it says Siri and Search. So in this case, you can actually just press the home button for Siri, and you don't have to hold down anything to talk to her. I should also mention that if you want to change Siri's voice, you can. It's the same in the older system as well. And it already has information for location purposes. So let's go back and see about this Siri. Hello, Siri.
Hello there, Sam.
Calling me by my father-in-law's name because it's his iPad. Hello, Siri.
Hi there, Sam.
Flip a coin.
It's heads this time.
Flip a coin.
It's tails.
Flip a coin.
It's heads.
Flip a coin.
Heads.
Just to show you some of the things you can do in terms of changing, there is a language. It's defaults to Canada English, but I mean there's lots of other Englishes that you can change it to. And other languages too. Many more languages in the older version. There's also voice. The default is American female. If you want, you can change it to male.
I'm Siri, your virtual assistant.
Well, the first time you do that, it may have to download the voice. You'll need to be on Wi-Fi to do that possibly, but...
I'm Siri, your virtual assistant.
Or if you like a British accent.
I'm Siri, your virtual assistant.
Yeah.
I'm Siri, your virtual assistant.
So those are the kind of changes you can make. Next thing we're going to take a look at is a little bit about Safari, the web browser. I'm just going to go to a web page I've been to before. So I just went to the CNN website, and interesting page, of course. But if you want to get rid of a lot of the extraneous stuff, including possibly some ads, for those pages that qualify, if you look at the top bar of Safari, near the left side of the address, you'll see 3 lines. And if you touch those 3 lines, it actually has an effect of going into what's called a reader's view, which is a simplified version of the page. For a lot of people who can't stand the noise and the mess of a lot of modern pages. This really simplifies things. All the information is still there, but it's in a simplified form. If you touch those 3 lines again, the original page is returned. I think that's a really, really handy thing to have when you're dealing with really complex web pages. And if you're going through a very long page, like this one, I'll just go to the bottom. Instead of scrolling all the way back up to the top, there's a really handy shortcut. If you go to the top of the page where the time is and you tap it once, you'll notice the page will jump back to the top. Let's try that again. Scrolling down, we'll just pretend I've scrolled a long way. I tap the top, you'll notice that my menus appear. Tap it once again, it'll jump back to the top. So if you've got a long, long page, instead of scrolling back up again, a couple of taps at the top and it will return to that location. Now the next thing I want to show you is the ability to enable your iPad to speak to you and to read pages. It can be from Safari, it can even be from iBooks, but if you're tired of reading pages, you can get Safari to read to you. So here's how we go about doing that. We first of all have to go into the settings. We stick to General, which I'm on. We touch Accessibility. And there's a section there or a choice called Speech. And this should all be turned off by default. What I'm going to do is turn on the speech selection by swiping to the right. And I want to also select Highlight Content so you can actually see what you're selecting to read. And I want it to read words and sentences, which is pre-selected for me. And whenever I select it, it's going to give me a background color, although you can select underline. Again, this is the older version of the operating system. The newer version will do something similar. Meanwhile, I'm going to go back now to Safari. And I happen to pick up a page here on the University of Winnipeg. I want to have it read to me this paragraph. So I'm going to click and I'm going to select. Notice how I dragged, and now I can actually take my fingers, if I'm careful, and separate that. So now everything that's highlighted will be read to me if I ask it to speak.
The University of Winnipeg, UWinnipeg, is a public university in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada that offers undergraduate faculties of art.
I'm pausing it. I can change the pace as well. I'm just going to go back to my settings where I left off, and if I go back to speech, you'll notice that there's a speaking rate here.
Speak selection reads selected content.
I think that'll sound a little better. Let's go back to the page we were on. Let's try that again.
The University of Winnipeg, UWinnipeg, is a public university in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada that offers undergraduate faculties of art, business and economics, education, science and kinesiology and applied health as well as...
You get the idea. If you don't like the voice, you can change the voice. Right now I've got Samantha talking. She's my voice. I can change it. She's the default voice. I can change it to something else. A man's voice.
Hello, my name is Siri.
So if you do that, I get it to speak.
The University of Winnipeg, Winnipeg, is a public university in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada that offers undergraduate faculties of art, business and economics.
You get the idea. Now when we're finished all this, we have to be sure to go back to settings and to restore things the way they were. Otherwise, this will needlessly be selected. So I'm going to turn off speak selection. Turn off speak selection and speak screen. We're back in business. Now on the newer operating system, it operates a little differently. We still go to settings. We still go to general. We go to accessibility. And we go to speech. We still turn on our speech selection. And we want to turn on highlight content. And I still want to highlight the words and sentences. And I want the background color. And I can even choose, in this case, the kind of color and so on. I'll take whatever it tells me. I'm going to run Safari here. And if I hold this down, again, and I can tell it to speak.
The University of Winnipeg, Winnipeg, is a public university in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada that offers undergraduate faculties of art, business and economics, education, science and kinesiology and applied health as well as graduate programs. Winnipeg's founding colleges were
Okay, so in addition to speaking, you'll notice it highlights various passages as it goes through. Otherwise, it basically does the same thing. Okay, there were some questions asked about whether or not it was possible to edit a video on the iPad. Well, it is possible if you're using the latest operating system, iOS 11. What I've done is I've just taken a 25-second video using this iPad with System 11. And if I bring it up, one of my options in the top right corner is to edit, which you won't find in the older systems. Now, with editing, what I can do is I can actually slide my cursor and cut out the first part or the last part or both of the video. Now, that's not to say that it's a very sophisticated way of editing, because you might really want to be able to cut out something in the middle. But the operating system won't let you do that on an iPad. If you want something like that, you're going to have to probably purchase a more sophisticated editor. Let me just play the video in its original form. I'm just taking a brief video from the chair so we can demonstrate how one might edit operating system 11. Just a few more seconds. Get the idea. If I want to edit it, I go to the Edit button on top. And you'll notice that there is a bar at the bottom. The editing it'll allow me to do would be just from the front in and from the back in. Now, the advantage of doing that is that most of the mistakes and most of the things you want to cut out of a video is usually at the beginning or at the end. The beginning because you haven't focused properly, somebody's photobombing your video, there have been problems, the camera was shaky, and at the end maybe you hadn't turned off the video in time and you got things you didn't want. So if I want to do that, let's say I've taken out the parts I don't want, if I click Done, I can trim the original or I can save as a new clip. So you can keep the original video, which is kind of handy in case you don't like what you've done in the end. You can go back and start over. I'm so confident I'm just going to trim the original. And now I've got an edited video. Furniture. So we can demonstrate. You'll notice the beginning is cut off on an iPad using operating system 11. Just a few more seconds. And the end was cut off. That's how you can edit a video, but you've got to use System 11. System 10 or earlier won't let you edit at all.